We are live, YouTube and Instagram. We got you both going as always. Four questions came in today. Let's jump right into them. Happy Wednesday, by the way. Let's start right away. Tips for landlords. My number one tip, first of all, I think that you should spend some time. If you're in Ontario, here in Ontario, we have what we call the landlord and tenant board. You should spend some time on that website. Go through all the documents, go know exactly what's allowed, what's not allowed, know the ins and outs of everything. So that way, if an issue does arrive, you've already learned the process and know exactly, you know, the right steps for everything. So know your rules, know your forms. For example, if you can raise the rent without having to apply to raise the rent, that's an N1 form, and you have to give that 90 days before the current tenancy is up. So for example, if you're if January 1st is when the rent is about to go to month, like the 1 year is over, for example, you're gonna want to give that notice, that N1, 90 days before that. And if your property is older than November 15th, 2018, if it was occupied before then, you're going to have to, or you're only going to be able to raise it in 2023 by 2.5%. If your property is newer than November 15th, 2018, then you can raise it to market value. Every single year, you can raise it one time per year. So know, know your ins and outs from a standpoint of, if you sell your property, if it's an investor buying it, then the tenants have the right to stay. If your purchaser is someone who's going to move in, then on firm offer, so like an accepted offer, and then it has to go firm. So it can't just be like the day you decide to sell that you just give your tenant 60 days notice. It doesn't work like that. It's firm offer, the deal's firm, then you can give your tenant 60 days notice to vacate, and that's from the first of the month, if they pay on the first. So for example, if the first of the month shows up, and yeah, like, or sorry, if you sell the property like middle of the month, it's 60 days from the first of the month, not from the middle of the month when the property is firm. So something to know. You also, your tenants can stay for the next 2 months, of course, and then you have to give them 1 month's rent back. So just so you know, it's part of the N12. And keep in mind, these rules are for Ontario, and they could be different wherever you're living. So number one tip for landlord: learn the rules, know exactly the ins and outs, and what you can and can't do. Question number two: buy now or wait. Yeah, this question keeps coming up every week. It feels like we've been seeing a huge slowdown in the market. We've seen, from what I've been hearing and seeing, is that things have been picking up as of late. The the rental market has been on fire, but from a purchase standpoint, there's some stuff out there that's been sitting, and they're not collecting offers. You have time to put in offers, go see multiple properties. You can add conditions. It's not as bad of a time as it seems. Now, obviously, this has to work for you. So it has to work for you from a standpoint of, can you afford the new rates? Because rates have gone up in the last few months. Prices have gone down, but maybe the carry cost is similar, but you might only need less, or you might need less for a down payment. So buying now or waiting, it really depends on your situation. If you've been waiting for a time for prices to drop, and you're trying to time the bottom, I don't know when that bottom will be. It could be now, it could be um, 2 weeks from now. We're not sure. We are anticipating the possibility of another rate hike in September, but then everything's possibly pointing towards maybe they'll cool off after then. And I think right now people are on vacation. Typically, I always thought August was a good time to buy anyway. It's typically a slower month, so could be an opportunity in that same regard, where people are traveling for the first time and probably been sitting on the market, and the news isn't exactly the most positive, but maybe that's a good opportunity for somebody who is looking to buy anyway. And as long as the numbers make sense for you, I don't see as it's a bad time to buy if it makes sense for you at this given moment. Do I think price will go down? I'm not sure. I don't think we're going to necessarily go on a huge run up in the next little bit, but you never know. As things settle in and everyone gets accustomed to the new rates, we don't really know what's going to come in the future. But if your plan is long term, if you're planning to buy this property and hold on to it for 5 years, typically over that time you will do well on your property over time. And if it makes sense for you to buy, then maybe now's your time. So yeah, if you're in a position to wait, if you're not in a rush to jump into the market and you want to wait till the next rate hike and see if prices come down a little bit, that's totally up to you. Just keep in mind, if rates do go up before you purchase, then depending on what you've worked out with your mortgage broker, your pre-approval, all that stuff, then that could affect your borrowing power as well too. So just stuff to think about. The time is always right when it's right for you. That's the key. Number three, what is I think it's what does my portfolio look like? And how old was I when I bought my first property? So I was in my late 20s when I bought my first property. I was back in 2014. I love that unit. My very first one, believe it or not, in Toronto, you could buy a place for under 300,000 at that time, just under. What does my portfolio look like now? So I've since sold that property. I currently have two rental properties in Ottawa. If you've been following my Instagram, you would have seen that I was there on the weekend, getting those things all up and running. I have a rental property downtown Toronto here. I have a condo, and then I currently live in a townhouse. So those are my properties, three rentals, and my primary residence. And yeah, I was in my late 20s when I first bought. I'm now closing in on the young age of 37, which is coming quick. So yeah, in those 7, 8 years, I was buying and or selling basically something every year or every other year. So yeah, I tried to build something up as I was playing hockey, and then was I retired from hockey and transferred into real estate. I had my portfolio pretty much set from there. Last question: should I order a home inspection? Yeah, I mean, the great thing about this market of being slower is it gives you the opportunity to build in home inspections into the offers. When things were flying off the shelves a few months ago, it was really difficult to just be able to, if you're offering with conditions back then, it was really tough to secure properties because there were a lot of people that weren't. But now, as things have slowed down, it's a great opportunity to put conditions in offers, whether it's financing, home inspection. Uh, these days, actually, I would recommend financing, just given the way things have been going, if you can. A home inspection, yeah, I would recommend getting a home inspection. And then definitely status certificate if you're looking to buy a condo, that's mandatory anyway. You're going to want that checked out by a lawyer as well. If you're a seller, I'm not sure if this question came in from a seller or a buyer. If you're a seller, I would definitely recommend getting a home inspection done before listing the property. That way, any potential buyers will have a list of things, that the inspector has found that, whether good or bad, it's good to just have it out there and the information's out there. Um, so as a seller, it's good to have that and provide that for your potential buyers because it might, be a little more enticing for them to purchase your property over the neighbors that maybe doesn't have the inspection report available. So you never know, it could always help. On top of that, I would say, like, if you are prepping your property for sale these days, you're going to want your property to look really, really, really well. So take the time to declutter, take the time to paint, take the time doing to do like any kind of work that could be necessary to kind of get it up to speed. So something to think about. We got a question here on Instagram. Hey, Robbie. Uh, yeah, good question. We're seeing this question a lot actually, and the question is, I'll paraphrase a little bit, is basically, should I bother renovating a property when I inherit it or sell it if stuff is outdated? The question really just becomes two, like I would say kind of twofold. Number one would be obviously what is the scope of what needs to be renovated, to get it up to like today's standards or today's modernization. And if it's not quite at that speed, um, you know, how outdated is it? And is it something that maybe like something in between could work? Like maybe a coat of paint might do the trick versus like ripping down walls and putting in all new stuff. Maybe something in the middle. But the key is to get it to look as good as possible. Like obviously if you don't plan on keeping it and you're looking to sell it, yeah, the better it'll look in things like photos and attract potential buyers. Always helps. If it's a property that needs a full reno top to bottom, then it might not be quite worth your while to put a ton of money into it to just put it up on the market and someone's going to come in and do a full renovation anyways. That's kind of a case by case basis, but I'd say if it's in good condition, even if it's outdated but still in good condition, it might be worth just doing some minor stuff just to kind of tweak it up a little bit, tighten it up a little bit, and make it look, in a sense, like make it look presentable for buyers to come through it. So hopefully that answered your question. See if we got anything else coming in. No, I think we're pretty good. All right, that's your Wednesday live Q&A. Thank you everyone for tuning in as always. Have an awesome Wednesday. It's super hot out there. Go enjoy the sun though, because before we know it, we're going to be in winter. So have an awesome day, and we'll talk to you guys soon.